things that one day I will put that hair cover, the hijab back on. But I tell him, I say, I will never, ever, 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 a day in my life, ever put that on again. I am willing to make sacrifices for Mahmoud, but I know for sure that I can't change who I am to be with him. And I'm
so Nicole. So she's going back to Egypt to look at him and be face to face to him to let him know the deal. So why would you want to travel all the way to Egypt to let him know that you're basically never going to change and you're always going to be you? For him to tell you that, hey, listen, this is my country, this is my religion, this is my culture, this is what we do. If you don't respect it, well, then there is none of us. She should just be telling these things to him on FaceTime, rather than save the journey of traveling all the way to Egypt and back. And then also on top of that, she's already come out, flat out said that I would never, ever, ever, ever wear hijab ever again. I mean, she barely even remembered the name of it to begin with. It just shows you how much respect and how much respect that she has for him, right? And his culture, right?
What God wants, you will get everything you want. I believe that. If God don't help me, like I never found Nicole.
On a non-religious level, he says that you do what, you saw what he said, right, about God. You do what God wants, then you get what you want. Then he proceeded to say, without that, then I wouldn't have Nicole in my life. I mean, if that's the case, well, clearly your God doesn't love you. Because why would he give you someone that does not care to want to respect your culture, your religion, your country, everything about you? Every single stipulation going. So to be honest with you, Nicole was one hell of a nutter. But Mahmoud is no different. This guy is absolutely delusional. In fact, his brothers even say that because he's the youngest, he's the golden child, he's the one with the silver spoon up his ass, he's very, very delusional. Because, everything is always being catered for him, being the youngest. But honestly, if he honestly believes that his God has given him Nicole as a gesture of greatness, clearly if I was him, I would be questioning my God, to be honest with you, at that moment in time. And the reason why I said on a non-religious level is because I don't want people to get all technical and start going into religious conversations or all that kind of stuff. We ain't here for that. That's not what it's about. I'm just calling out this guy and his lack of brain cells.
Okay, my love, can you just close your jacket, please?
why?
But I think your shirt is more small or something.
You're so rude.
The thing that I really couldn't fathom about this scene itself in particular is that, well, she's been to Egypt before. She was there for 2 months. She left. They got married, all that kind of stuff, and she left, and then she blocked him because she no longer wanted to be with him and all that kind of stuff, and then decided to unblock him, and now she wants to be with him, all that kind of mumbo jumbo. And I believe she even stopped his application for a visa and the whole shebang. It's a whole madness. But if she knows, you can't tell me that she didn't know that her jacket had been done up because I guess she was showing skin. But the funny part was that she wasn't even showing any skin though. Her top was tucked in, to be honest with you. When we talk about, hold on a minute.
Wasn't buttons up and you could see like...
No.
I just want to say that if looks could kill, if looks could really kill, man. The way she looks at this guy is just surreal.
I know what it was, and I'm not going to say it out loud.
Okay, no. Don't want to talk about that.
The jacket wasn't covering, like, my front, the bottom.
I mean, I heavily disagree. I think the jacket was covered up the front and all that kind of stuff, to be honest with you, even when it was undone, to be honest with you, but it is what it is. But when it comes to Nicole and Mahmoud's relationship, to be honest with you, this was going to be a very interesting one for the long run. I feel like this one's probably going to be the most irritating relationship we're probably going to experience, to be honest with you, because we've got a dynamic here where we've got a woman who refuses flat out to adjust and compromise to the needs of his culture and his country and the whole shebang. Refuses. And the crazy part about it is, why waste your time being in love with someone that can't allow you to be who you are. And why waste your time being with someone who you know that you're going to need to change just so they can be accepted? That's where they are both in the wrong, and that is why they both shouldn't be together. But also on top of that, we've got someone who's been to Egypt before, but for some reason doesn't seem to want to remember the rules, let alone the name of the hijab. Then we've got a guy who, just because his brother once upon a time was in a relationship with or is in a marriage with a Chinese woman, he thinks that he can make it work like his brother did. But I'm pretty sure that that woman was more than happy to adapt to the requirements needed to be in Egypt. And then we've got the dynamic of where I just don't see the chemistry. It's hard to see the chemistry off the bat sometimes, but sometimes we can see them straight away. And I don't really see the chemistry because she's very robotic in the way she is. Very programmed, to be honest with you. And she shows lack of emotion when it comes to her facial expression. Which listen, I'm not, listen, maybe that's just who she is, right? No worries, cool. But I just feel like this couple has already been called out for just being fake and being a bunch of people put together. And right now, that's what I'm seeing. Whether that's true or not, I cannot confirm. But I do genuinely feel like that if this relationship is genuine, it is an actual real relationship, they both have to get their heads out of their own asses, and they both need to have a serious conversation about the pros and cons of being together. And then once they have that conversation of pros and cons of being together, they should then have a conversation about which compromise are they going to make to improve those cons for the better, and also how they're going to embrace the pros even more, so therefore they can build a stronger connection. Without none of that, this relationship is doomed before it's even began. But the fact is, though, even if they do the pros and cons, even if it gets to a point where there is compromise, doesn't necessarily mean it's going to fix anything, because, well, they already have the history of them being married the first time, her moving to Egypt, didn't work out because she hated it there. She went back home, flew back and forth, then decided, you know what, I'm done with this guy. I'm just gonna block him. This relationship can't be real, to be honest with you. The more I talk about it and the more I let it out of my mouth, I'm just thinking, wow, like the level of stupidity, the level of immaturity, the level of lack of common sense, shall I say, is quite jarring, quite irritating. But at the end of the day, I can only really hope and wish that things do turn out for the best, but I know they won't. So I better not waste my time hoping and wishing that things turn out for the best. Either way, though, you guys let me know exactly what you're thinking down below, and we'll most certainly talk about it. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and of course, peace.